I really like that parka. If you're watching the stream, sportscage.com, that is a nice jacket, Eric Francis. And the second thing, I asked Curtis if he could focus in. You do still have your Blockbuster card up there in the background. So everything, you're following suit as expected. Last night, I watched the first minute of the game. That's all I was able to catch. And it's 20 seconds in. Talk about a crap start, and you got Leon Draisaitl with a major league backhand 20 seconds in, 1-0 Edmonton. Oilers are rolling without Connor McDavid.
Yeah, I don't think anybody should be surprised. I mean, some might because McDavid's out, but they're on a 6-2 run right now. And Leon does this all the time. There's a long history of Leon basically saying, hey, no problem with Connor out. Everybody hop on my back for 2-3 weeks or sometimes 2-3 months, and I'll carry the load just like he does. Like, it's an amazing, amazing luxury that organization has, obviously, to have two of the best players in the NHL. And it's amazing how one will always cover for the other. Leon had 3 points last night, back-to-back 3-point nights. It's not a surprise that he's carrying the load, and they are rebounding. Meanwhile, the Flames have lost 5 of 6. Those are two Alberta teams going in opposite directions, as everyone in hockey predicted probably a couple weeks ago.
I was going to have so what has caused them to go the opposite directions? You touched a little bit on Leon Draisaitl and maybe the talent that they have in Edmonton that's able to step up when Connor McDavid goes down. But what has gone so wrong for the Flames? Or is this just reality setting in and this is where they were? This is really who they were anyway?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of reality setting in. Look, they had that red hot start. They were 5-0-1. I'm not going to say they were the talk of the league, but it surprised a lot of people. But everybody knew that this wasn't exactly a juggernaut, and this wasn't a season where they were going to go and shock the world. But the big thing that everybody wondered about this year with the Calgary Flames was the goaltending, right? I mean, that was what they thought would probably hold them back. Two young guys being asked to do something they've never done, which is carry the load. Even if they go 50-50, it's still not a workload they're used to at this level. Their biggest question mark, goaltending, has actually been their biggest strength. And that's what helped them get down to 5-0-1. That's what helped them keep a couple of these losses close. And that's what helped them last night keep that game close. They went down 2-0, and it sure looked like it was going to be an absolute spanking because we've seen lots of those in the Battle of Alberta. But they battled back, made it a 2-all game, and it was only because of a bad penalty to Pospisil that the Oilers were allowed to get a power play goal and win the game. So, yeah, Flames just coming back down to earth and getting outworked, which is not something that they're used to. That's their calling card. If they get outworked, they're definitely not winning because that's the only way they can win, if they out-hustle the other team.
At what point will it be close to trade deadline that everyone's going to start losing their minds and the Oilers need this and the Oilers need this guy? And if we forecast it maybe a little bit early out here, who's going to be available for Edmonton? 'Cause we talked about it before, the depth of some of these teams, and it's starting to show, like Vegas right off the hop.
Yeah.
That's going to be tough. Dallas is going to be no joke. Colorado's, they have borderline AAA senior team right now with how many guys they got out. The depth in that to come out of there again, Eric, is going to be hard. Like, at what point do we start, does the media and do we start fishing around to say, it could be a destination. Edmonton could be a destination.
Oh, I think it's too early to start looking at that now. I mean, all you have to do is have some media guys start to Google who's a pending free agent, and then you'll start connect the dots. Look, it was a sexy topic before the puck even dropped this year that Rasmus Andersson would probably be out the door for the Calgary Flames. He's been their best player maybe this year, so I'm not sure he's going anywhere this year. He's still got another year left on his contract. Anyway, so he's not in that category of guys who will start to come up. But there will be a long list of guys who will be linked to the Oilers in particular. And you're asking about the Oilers. And, when they lost Broberg and when they lost Holloway because of the offer sheets, they got draft picks in in exchange for them, which just kind of lessens the blow. And those draft picks are already destined to be spent at the deadline for some help at the deadline this year. There's no question about that. So they have some of the assets in terms of draft picks that people are going to want, and they'll be moving them, and you can guarantee they're going to add a defenseman. They're going to add a forward or two. They will be active, and right now the names, I haven't even dug into it. We're just getting the 10-game mark. It's a little early.
Eric, we're talking about some teams that obviously are not doing that well right now, but let's talk about this is something you brought up off the air earlier today, and I think this is a real nice one, real feel-good one, if you will. Two guys that are doing really well, did really well this past week. You brought this up. The NHL named their 3 stars over the past week, and 2 of them are fellas that know each other very well, obviously, Sidney Crosby, Alexander Ovechkin. Great to see those old guys light it up this past week and put some big numbers on the board for their teams.
It is amazing, isn't it? All these years later, and we as fans, the media, have loved every time those 2 guys face each other. It's been always Sid versus Ovi, whether it's internationally or just in the league. Who's better? That was a long debate for a lot of years. I dare say that debate still goes on right now. But because of their age, they've faded, a little bit to the background in terms of, people talking about them. But I love seeing I get the press release every week from the league. First star of the week is Ovechkin. Third star of the week is Crosby. Their numbers are ridiculous. Crosby was in on 7 of his team's 8 goals this week. The only one he wasn't in on was an empty netter, because only losers get empty net points. And Ovechkin lit it up with a bunch more goals, which now has people wondering, oh my, could he break that record this year? What does he need this year, guys? Is it 42 goals to break Gretzky's record?
There was something like that.
Yeah,
I don't think it happens
right now. As of right now,
I don't think it happens. Colson's looking it up. I don't think it happens this year. But
yeah, like going into the year it was 42, I think, but so it's 35 left. I don't know. Yeah, we got the experts looking into it, but either way, it's going to happen. It's something that people have mixed feelings on. I know a lot of people do. Hey, listen, no one's ever going to mistake him as the greatest player of all time, but we may have to start anointing him the greatest goal scorer of all time, and that sucks, in my opinion, for a lot of different reasons. But at the end of the day, Gretzky will always be so much better a hockey player than Ovi ever will. Sorry, I didn't mean to digress into that, but the point is, how great is it that at this age they're still the best players on their teams, and they're still the most important piece if their teams are even going to make the playoffs? It's awesome.
I think it was 42 goals away when he started the season, and he is 35 away.
Oh, I nailed it. There you go. I don't.
It's almost like you work in the biz.
Yeah, it's almost like I get paid to do this. Yeah, I don't think he can do it, but every once in a while when people start saying, yeah, he won't quite be able to do it this year, but early next year he'll do it. The race is going to be on this year. As the season gets down to it, people are going to be watching closely. I just think he'll fall a little short, and that's okay.
It's like, I'm just looking up some things here as we talked about it. When Sid full bubble playing OV in the World Juniors and he had that tinted visor, like that doesn't seem like that long ago, but it is. Like,
I know it. Well, I got it up here. 2005 World Junior Championships. I have it on my wall. The 3 leaders of that team for Team Canada: Sidney Crosby, Patrice Bergeron, and Corey Perry. Wow. Those are 3 Hall of Famers. That was the leadership group of that World Junior tournament. And some people thought that might have been one of the best teams that was ever assembled. We can debate that some other day.
Who played goal that year? Was it Fleury? What year? 2005 World Junior?
2005 World Junior. Get our expert to look it up. I'm going to say that it's somebody who's not, who didn't have a big NHL career. I think it was someone who was really good in junior but didn't quite follow through. Maybe I'm wrong.
I got it.
I don't think it was Fleury.
I got it.
Justin Pogge. Justin Pogge? No.
2005.
That's the Calgarian you're thinking, yeah.
2005 World Junior Canada. Nope. Good guess, though. See, the one guy played 5 games. The other guy just played 1. Regime Beauchemin only played 1 game.
Yeah.
The other guy, I'm going to say 85 birth from Calgary, Alberta.
Oh, this is going to kill me when you tell me.
Where else did he? Kootenay Ice didn't really cut it in the NHL.
Blackburn? Dan Blackburn?
No.
Oh.
Jeff Glass.
Oh.
If you're watching the stream, we made him think. Like, that's probably the hardest.
Yeah.
Look at him.
He did. He paused. You paused. You held your breath. It looked like you were going to give yourself a nosebleed. And then after he told you, you just smacked your head on the back of your chair.
No, because I remember it was somebody who didn't quite make it. And Glasser lives near me here in Calgary. He's going to kill me when I tell him that I forgot him. And, you know, he's got a Bernese Mountain Dog like I do. Like, we got a lot of things that we laugh about whenever I see him. He went over to Russia and did really well, made a lot of money in Russia. And then about 4 years ago, 5 years ago, came back into the NHL and caught fire for a little while and was a big story in the league. I remember writing about him, and I was so happy for him. He was getting one more shot. And then, anyway, now he just walks his dog a lot.
To be on brand, we had you go through your drawer a couple weeks ago to find your Blockbuster and Rogers video card. It would be on brand for you to walk outside and see if he's out there walking his dog and bring him on the show. I'm just saying. Justin Pogge, which was a really good guess, because I thought you hit it there. He was actually the 2006. So, yeah, that was
1 year later.
Blake Como had a heck of a tournament there. Meadow Lake, Saskatchewan, Saskatoon Contact, Dustin Boyd, Cambar. Yeah, that 06 team was good. Kyle Chipchera. You wanted to ask Bidsy about the Habs, didn't you?
Yeah, I was going to mention this too. Like, while we were talking about, Ovi and Sydney doing well, and before that we were talking about teams not doing so great. The Flames in a little bit of a funk right now. Well, the Montreal Canadiens, let's talk about a team not doing well. The Montreal Canadiens, I believe, are tied now for last place in the East. When it's all said and done, Eric Francis, will the Montreal Canadiens be contending with the San Jose Sharks as the league's worst team, or are they better than this?
Oh, they're much better than this, I think. I don't even think you can compare those two teams right now. Like, they're in different stages of their rebuild. The Sharks are going to take 10 to 12 years to figure that thing out, and about 3 general managers. And you look at Montreal, like, I do think they've got some building blocks there with Suzuki, and obviously Caulfield's off to a phenomenal start again. Montembeault looks to me like he might end up being the real deal. Like, I feel like they've got the pillars that you can start to build around. They just got to fill in the spots around there. I don't see them being – I can see them being a lottery pick this year, but I can't see them being battling for last place in the National Hockey League. I really can't. I feel like there's a whole lot more there than what they've shown so far this year. I don't see it.
You know who's sneaking? I haven't watched them play yet this year on television, obviously. Minnesota Wild. Like, what's their makeup?
Oh, yeah. I love that team. I really do. And the big difference this year is the goaltending, right? Gustafsson is back to being what he was 2 years ago. He's got stellar goals against average. He's been fantastic. And Fleury's a nice side piece for them and a great story and a great leader. But Kaprizov is one of the most underrated players in the league still, just because of where he plays, right? People don't, like you say, you don't see them play very often. But this Marco Rossi is a real stud. He plays with him. I just like a lot of the things that team has slowly built together. Eriksson Ek is one of the best two-way defensive forwards, best two-way forwards in the league. So, again, we don't see them very often. We forget about how good they are. And don't get me wrong, they haven't proven it much over late, but I think you look at teams that whether they're on the up or the down, they're definitely on the up in my eyes for sure.
It's one of those teams. And I was going to say, you're very high. Like, are you Dallas last year high on them? Should I wager on them or no? Okay, nothing stupid like that. But
again.
You look down their roster, it's not a who's who. And yeah, Joel Eriksson Ek, again, a guy that gets Zuccarello's there. Jared Spurgeon, solid play, but they just have kind of those 5-10 cent commons, and they're doing a job. And then Winnipeg, I'm going to talk to Ken Wiebe later this week. I was wondering when we were going to start to hear Winnipeg's we're getting attendance issues again there, boys.
Well, Mark Chipman had kind of warned about this last year and said, look, this is not sustainable. When the Jets went back to Winnipeg, they had 13,500 was their season ticket base in a building that seats, I think, 15,700. And they were okay with 13,500 in terms of season ticket base. And then the pandemic hit. And coming out of the pandemic, they got smoked. And they're at the point now where they've got 9,500 season ticket holders. And Chipman was the one who came out last year and said, quite frankly, this is not sustainable long term. We have to build that season ticket base. We can't be scrambling every single game. Yeah, we sell all out when we play the Leafs, the Habs, the Bruins, but when we play Minnesota, we struggle to sell tickets. So if they can't start to get closer to a $13,000 season ticket base with a team that's 10-1 right now, I'm not sure if they ever will. And I think that's what Chipman was alluding to, that just saying, hey guys, straight up, I'm being honest, this is not sustainable long term, so something's got to change. The problem is in Winnipeg, it's just there aren't enough corporate headquarters and corporate money in that city to sustain it. And I worry about them long term. I'd be pretty comfortable saying that I think that the next crisis situation we're looking at in the National Hockey League is indeed the Winnipeg Jets situation. I don't think that's stepping out on a limb, and I think the chairman alluded to that last year.
Salisbury House, their headquarters is in Winnipeg. Really nice cafe, by the way, fellas. If you ever get a chance, how was the experience? Let's all wrap it and go back. How was the game day experience and the experience of the game and the stadium and everything, Utah?
Well, so that building, the Delta Center, is built in 91. That's a long time ago, right? That's up there with Saddle Dome kind of stuff. And it is in great shape. It was built really well. They spared no expense. It still hosts NBA games. What I didn't realize until I got there is, that's their building. I thought, okay, you're going to get an NHL team, and then as part of the Olympics coming back to Salt Lake City, you're going to get a new arena, and it's going to be perfect for NHL hockey. No, that's not the case. If you've seen a game in Utah, you see it's kind of, you almost picture a Skoda in the corner of the rink because the wall is right behind the net.
Fantastic automobile.
I have no doubt. I'll take your word on it. They're going to blow out each wall this year and one next year, and it's going to go back and cascade just like every other NHL arena. But there are they don't sell tickets in the corners, the upper corners, unless it's a really, really big ticket game, and they only charge half price because they can only see one of the nets because the scoreboard is so massive that they put in recently. But it has a series of seats. I put a video out on Twitter that are the best seats in the National Hockey League. I think we talked about this last week, but I just think they're so amazing. But the city itself, good luck getting a drink.
What about after the game? Was it buzzing?
Yeah. Well, I ran into a lot of Flames fans when I was there, and all of them were whinging about the same thing. They couldn't get a beer without a passport. It's kind of a little game they play. Who carries their passport to a hockey game? And they say, locals can get it based on their license, but they don't accept the license of anybody from out of state for ID. And so they're just trying to throw another layer in to make it harder. We went out to dinner for one of the fancier restaurants in town, and we had to constantly ask for another one. Well, I'm not making it sound like we had 100, but all we wanted was 2 or 3, and that was like, whoa, you really do want another one? Okay. So it's just not part of their mindset. But, the city is beautiful. It's sunny. It's open. It's a lot like Calgary. You're surrounded by mountains in every direction. It's a gorgeous city. But no, after the game, I can't tell you that I spilled out into the local pub with a whole bunch of people and had a grand old time. Although I will say the noise coming from the bar across the street from my hotel was shockingly loud. Like, I thought, of all the cities in the NHL where I'm being kept up by people coming out of a bar late, I didn't think Utah would be one of them, but there was. So there is hope. There is hope. It will get better.
So your server then, when you went out to eat, that was giving you the look when you said, "Could I have another one? Could I have another one?" You probably felt like saying, "Well, what about those guys across the street? They seem to be having lots of drinks. Quit looking at me."
Part of the problem, I think, is half the Flames team was in the back room, in the private room, and maybe they were drinking all the booze that was in there left, and there was none left for me. I don't know, but this server was like one of these, when you have a server that's just so good at what they do, and yet it wasn't part of her repertoire at all to be pushing alcohol. It was just very noticeable. And I heard a great story when I was down there. Apparently, they do have the odd theater in that city where you can drink alcohol while watching a movie, but you cannot show anything with explicit content while also serving alcohol, which I guess stands to reason as well. So when Deadpool came out this summer, they had a heck of a problem on their hand because it was deemed to be explicit with some of its content. So Ryan Reynolds apparently found out about this, thought it was so funny that there were these, like, how many theaters could there be in Utah that served booze? Not many, but that they couldn't show his movie. So he actually put out another version of Deadpool just for Utah so people could drink and watch it at the same time. Isn't that hilarious? I don't know what that costs, but Ryan Reynolds apparently thought it was really funny and made it happen, so good for him.
Have you ever golfed in southern Utah?
No.
It's supposed to be amazing, though.
No.
Like, you should do that trip in, like, March, April.
Barney, one of these shows, when we're a little light on content, we got to talk about boys golf trips. You've been on a million. I've been on a million. I live for them. You do too. I'm sick of doing the Bandon Dunes, all the big ones in the world. I've been to them all, it seems like. I want to find some hidden gems. If you're telling me that Utah is a place that I should be going with 8 buddies and we can have a great time, lighten it up, but also playing great golf at a reasonable price, please tell me more about this Utah golf.
Sports Cage golf trip, southern Utah. You and I will figure it all out, but you know where we're going to figure it out? We're going to go down to Columbia Falls. We'll go to the Blue Moon, and we'll figure it all out there, and we'll get it all packaged together.
I'm in. I love me some Montana. Let's do that, but let's also get your marketing team to put together a boys golf trip. I'll fly in wherever we're going, but let's find someplace new. I'm in.
Yeah. All right. We'll do this again on Wednesday. Have a good one. Again, sharp jacket. Love it. And thanks for everything again.
It's a shacket. Did you know that? It's a shirt jacket. It's a shacket. Throw that out there. Letting you know.
Looks good. Looks good. You can pull it off.
Informative program.